So it's 7 p.m. sharp. I really would like to welcome everyone. So thank you all. Thank you everyone for joining our third session of the PMI-PMOCP exam preparation training. So far, we have completed two sessions. Sorry, today is the third session, and I hope you guys have benefited a lot for the first two sessions, in which we have covered, I think, a lot of the most of the introduction part, the valuing, and we start the flywheel. So today we're going to continue with the flywheel, and we're going to jump on the enhancement part. Okay, so we've covered, I think, the first parts of the flywheel, and now we're starting with chapter 6. Okay, how are we going to enhance our services after we've deployed them and we've operated the services? Okay, so let's start. So this is where we are on the flywheel. So each time we go to the flywheel, we make sure that we really share with you the flywheel. Okay, so we can really keep with us and you know where we are exactly. So okay, so we have built awareness, we have assessed the needs, we've proposed the value to the different customers based on their needs. We started drafting the catalog for our services. Then we onboarded the services, we operated them. Now we need to make sure whether our services are really delivering the expected value or not. So that's why we're monitoring the services. So this is the seventh step and the flywheel. All right, and I will keep saying this sentence. Each time I see more people joining, I will keep saying this sentence. I would appreciate if all of you could not, would not leave at all, okay? Because there will be really, there will be interesting slides at the end, okay? So please stay with us until the end. I will keep repeating this sentence every while whenever I see more people joining, okay? All right, now let's go and, understand how the PMO should monitor the services being delivered. Okay, are we meeting the SLAs, the expectations? Are we fulfilling the expectations and the needs of the customers? Okay, so for service monitoring, there are for this part actually there are two steps: monitoring the service and improving the service. Okay, now let's first look at the service monitoring overview. What is this about? Now, it's it's common sense. Whenever, let's say, an organization or a function is providing services, they need to check the results or the service quality, the service level being provided, have real-time monitoring, some real-time measurements, real-time insights, so we can see whether the services are really effective, efficient, meet the expectations or not. Also, it's very important. Now, this is just an overview, okay? It's very important to track and measure. All right, track and measure the different services, evaluate them against the SLAs, the service level agreements. Okay. By the way, let me say something between brackets. Okay, this is just a side note. Like, I think all people in the world actually exercise this mindset. It's just that when we are preparing for certain certifications, that practice is put in nice words, shiny words, in box, in using key terms. But actually, I have met people who have never ever known, project management or PMI. They haven't. Some of them haven't even finished a higher education, and still they have the mindset of making sure what they're delivering meets the expectations. Okay, because actually the purpose of the PMO is to make sure that there is tangible output being delivered. Okay, what the customer is expecting, they're getting, or what the customers are expecting, they're getting. All right. So the focus is on really delivering tangible outputs. Okay. So we can, have even later on a clear evidence that we're performing as the expectations. Because you see, PMO is one of those functions which suffer from over misunderstanding. Okay. So a lot of organizations think, oh, we don't need PMO, it's overhead, it's extra cost. Why do we need it, etc. So some of the organizations are just waiting for the first mistake from the PMO, so they could put all of that in question, and therefore they say, what, we have a cost cut, okay, for example. All right. Also, when monitoring the services based on the data we're measuring, okay, we can have data-driven decisions. Should we continue this service? Should we make a shift? Should we make a change? Should we optimize it? Should we improve it? Should we, swap it with something else? Maybe we did not understand the needs very well, so maybe we can offer something else which fits better. Maybe we have done some benchmarking, and actually we have figured, based on the best practices from the other industries, from the other companies, that actually we can do it differently, etc., etc. Okay, so it's like really helps a lot, right? It even gives a pulse of performance, like acting as the pulse of the PMO, translate the quality and efficiency into something measurable, a measurable value that everybody needs. All right, and also by monitoring the service, we make sure that we're meeting the expectations, okay, whether it's standards, SLAs, etc. All right. So this is an overview about what is this service monitoring about. All right. Now we would have the cards, the usual cards. Okay. We've had these cards before. Okay. We know that each time we want to measure or we want to understand deep dive in a step, we usually have those cards, okay? Or we call them the steps, all right? So we're going to have here 4 steps, while for monitoring the service of the PMO. We need to know, or we need to establish a service monitoring framework, okay? And then manage the SLAs, and the compliance with the SLAs, then make our reporting and communicate our results, and then analyze the feedback from the customers based on our performance. All right. So here, this is what we do. So we begin by establishing a comprehensive service monitoring frameworks in which we can define how each service will be tracked, measured, evaluated for performance and alignment with organizational goals. This will help us later on manage the SLA compliance. Are we compliant with the SLAs? All right. Ensure that all the service delivery meets the agreed upon standards and escalation paths, and are they clearly defined or not? Because the customer needs to know how to escalate in case something is not really going well, all right? And then, we will do the reporting, providing stakeholders with timely, transparent insights through different dashboards, by the way, okay? Different reporting formats, different briefings, all right? And then, simultaneously, we can gather the feedback from the customers, okay? Because this will help us validate the effectiveness of the service, okay? Maybe, check if there are any improvement of opportunities, because it's, within our core mindset, to work on improvements. All right. And then also ensure that the service continuously meet the and pay attention to this, evolving customer needs, because customer needs are not frozen, are not stagnated. They're evolving, they're changing. Okay. So we need to have a continuous loop of monitoring, reporting, and refinement of the service offering. All right. So yes, you're a PMO. You've delivered or you've created a service catalog based on a value proposition, which was based originally on a needs assessment. However, if you've built that, if you've done that in 2015, you cannot expect that in 2025 we'll continue working, with the same catalog you're offering. No way. Okay, because changes evolve. You know why? Because technology evolves, market trends evolve, market needs evolve, management expectations, management views evolve, etc. So you need to adapt as a PM. You need to prove that you're one of the key drivers of each company's success, since project management is half of what companies do, if not more. All right. You need to remember these sentences, guys. By the way, I received a question, I think yesterday. One of the people who joined this training asked me, "Hey, Ahmed, I cannot map what we're learning to the ECO." You know what? I took the ECO again and I looked at it, read it line by line, and I know that every single task on the ECO, which we shared on slide 6 or 8, I think, at the beginning of the first session, actually has been, replied to, has been clarified in various slides in this training presentation. So please, guys, I need you to rest assured that every single task mentioned in each of the 6 domains of the ECO, of the PMI-PMOCP ECO, has been actually covered by several slides in our course presentation. All right. Now let's go and start taking those cards one by one. Let's start by monitoring or establishing a service monitoring framework. All right. So here, first of all, we need to have the processes. How are we going to monitor? What are our monitoring processes? All right, like the performance measurement processes. So here we need to have, we need to establish a standardized way of collecting data, analyzing it across all different services. All right. So that's a starting point for your framework. How are we going to collect the data? How are we going, to extract it? How are we going to organize it, etc.? And then, we need to have the dashboards. Yes. What are we going to show? Those dashboards, not only we will show them to the different stakeholders and customers, they will even help us understand, okay, what those data mean. All right, so here we need to have real-time visual dashboards. Okay, different kinds of dashboards. Okay, like really, wheels, histograms, charts, etc. Any visual dashboards, so we can track the performance of the service. All right. And also we need to have scheduled monitoring sessions, like regular monitoring intervals by service, by SLA, etc. Like, for example, weekly measurements, or daily measurements of certain SLAs, weekly of others, monthly of other SLAs, etc. You need to define that in your framework. Okay, in your framework, in your process. Yes, absolutely. And then clarify the roles and responsibilities. You need to make sure that everyone understands clearly what are the responsibilities in this monitoring process. And if the teams need training, then provide them with training. Okay, by executing these processes, the PMO will maintain accurate, consistent data and also have continuous feedback loops that later on will drive the service performance improvements. Okay, now that's very important. Now this is even more explained, like in more details, like whatever I have said right now. All right, mainly this bullet here, like implementing compliant data collection methods. We can use surveys. You can ask your customers, like a customer satisfaction survey, for example. All right, have some also team reviews, so we can build on what we have learned from that feedback from the customers, and have some improvement initiatives. Here, I need you to remember that you will need to empower your team, empower them one by one. All of your team members should be willing to sharing, learning, suggesting improvements, and not be afraid of doing so. Now, let me tell you this. It is true that in the exam, most of the questions are about the practices from the valuing, from the flywheel. Okay, but still there is a decent number of questions about leadership, about team support, team organization, etc. All right. Okay, that's good. And always focus on metrics that drive improvement, continuous improvement, and not just have them. Now please, let me tell you this. Don't try to have measurements or metrics just for the sake of having them. Like, because, in the mandate, okay, it is mentioned that PMO should provide weekly reporting. So, we do it, but without really, providing any meaningful reporting, for example, or a reporting that would drive improvement. No, remember. Now, there was a very famous guy on LinkedIn who shared a post, I think 2 or 3 days ago, and he asked, and he wrote, no, he didn't ask, he actually shared 10 most essential skills everyone should have by 2030, or should have, because by 2030, they will become the most important ones. I did not see the continuous improvement mindset in those 10 skills. No. Okay. We call them the improvement intelligence. Okay. I think it has got a better name, but I just call it that way. Like CI intelligence, continuous improvement intelligence. Yes, absolutely. Let me tell you guys. And it's not because of the PMI, PMOCP training. No, really, not because of that. Okay. Not because one day you're going to be PMOs and you need to do that, effectively. But truly, honestly, people who have that mindset of continuously improving what they have built step by step, slowly, not in a major way. Those are the ones that will shine in their future assignments. Now we're done with the first card. Let's move on to the second one. All right. Let's make sure, or let's see how we're SLA compliant. Okay. Have we met the SLAs? Are we compliant with the service level agreements? Okay. Now we need to have a compliance system, like have a tracking system, like for example, how we call that? Red, amber, green reporting, for example. All right. Are we compliant? Green, yes. Amber, there is some danger. Red, we're off track. Okay. So we can have really real-time SLA performance feasibility. So we need to have a compliance system. And then we need to have some periodic reviews, like regular weekly, monthly reviews, so we can assess our compliance and even spot some trends. All right. Make some forecasts, for example. So these regular reviews will help you know if you're really compliant or not. And then if there are any breaches, we need to know how we're going to handle them. So we need to have a clear, documented escalation process. Okay, for any SLA breaches or even potential breaches, like the risks. Okay, so you should have establish a clear escalation path for your customers, so they can, or even for any other stakeholders. So whenever there is a potential breach, or there is a breach, sorry, it has to be escalated, and we need to handle it, and we need to handle it properly. Okay, that's very important. Okay, so please don't forget that at all right. And then, okay, what will happen if we have non-compliance findings? Okay, those, for those, we need to record all the breaches, document their root causes. Yes, why did we have the breach? Where did it come from? Okay, um, which actions to be taken? Okay, and this is good, even prevention steps, because we don't want that to repeat again. And after that, definitely we will have lessons learned. Yes, we will have the lessons learned meeting. All right, where we document what happened, how did we resolve it, how to make sure that it will not happen again. Okay, and then we go back, or and then we review our SLAs. Okay, periodically reassess our SLA relevance. I told you, like, my first job ever as a PMO was on SLAs in 2007. Okay. And we had these periodic reviews because, first of all, we wanted to make sure that we have well defined our SLAs. Okay. They were realistic. That's the most important one, like achievable. Okay, we can achieve them really. Okay, and then see the need for those SLAs. Sometimes we need it, to just change the SLA definition, or maybe just swap SLAs with others. Okay, so we need to update as needed based on this performance data from the previous step. Okay, and then make sure that we use the SLA insights, these insights, to refine and improve the PMO services over time. Okay, now this is very important because this way we can always make sure that we deliver what is wanted as expected on time. That's very important. Yes, deliver what is wanted as expected on time, and we improve. That's the improvement cycle. Okay, very important. Then the third card is to report and communicate the results. Okay. First, we share the SLA performance reports regularly. We highlight whatever has been compliant with, whatever was not compliant with, any issues, and also we need to show our commitment to delivering a quality service. All right. We need to have our reporting schedule, like it's clear, like we have we define this frequency. Is it going to be daily reporting, monthly, quarterly, etc. Align it with organizational decision making cycles. Okay, maybe the organization has got these monthly decision making cycles, so we need to make sure that we share them our reporting before that, so they can base some of their decisions on that. Okay, what would be the reporting content? Okay, we definitely recommend you don't write text. Use visuals like charts, graphs, dashboards. I already mentioned that. Okay, sometimes with brief narratives, so we can explain the trends, the relevance, actions taken, efficiency achieved, etc. And also tailor your reporting channels. Like you can communicate preferably via you're definitely gonna have meetings. Okay, you can use can report via emails. You can use some online dashboard sharing, some collaboration tools. Most importantly, tailor that to your customer preferences. Okay, you need to remember that there will be, I think, one or two questions in the PMI PMOCP exam about tailoring communication, to customer needs. Okay, I think there will be that. Yes, right. And then, of course, how to get the customer's feedback. All right. Of course, you're gonna, try to, first of all, define how you're going to collect feedback, how you're going to measure that. All right. So you're probably gonna use surveys, maybe some tools for real-time feedback. Then you're gonna analyze that feedback. Okay. Even, have some sentiment analysis, because, customer satisfaction is not always expressed. Yeah, you can have surveys. You can have different types of surveys with emoticons, without emoticons, direct questions, open, closed questions, or closed-ended questions, etc. But still, sometimes some feedback you can get by just looking at them, looking at their face, talking to them, etc. Okay, and then you need to act on feedback. Whatever feedback you collected, act upon that feedback. If you're making changes, communicate those changes. And if there are any loops, then and then just close the loop. Sorry, and then just close the loop. All right. Like you can have different performance indicators. All right. You need to track the services against standards, SLAs. Defining the performance benchmarks for any service delivery. You can rely on two types of indicators, like delivery and outcome. All right. Delivery indicators, these, they measure the service execution, the SLA compliance, like, timely delivery, accurate resource allocation, etc. The outcome indicators, they assess the value. Now, what was delivered and has it, achieved any value? So outcome means value. Have we achieved value? So we assess the value and the strategic impact. Like, for example, we provided services to have projects completed on time and within budget. All right. Outcomes, they reflect improvement in success rates. Okay, satisfaction of the customers, return on investment, efficiency. Okay, so this is all then later on will be linked to the step number 9. We will link that later to step number 9, which is value delivery, and step number 10, which is value recognitions. All right. So these two types of indicators, they provide complete view on PMO performance, in support of improvements, accountability, and even strategic alignment. All right. So here you have the different service delivery indicators. All right. Like, for example, efficiency indicators, tracking time, budget, quality indicators. All right. Like measuring accuracy. All right. Consistency, even reliability of the outputs being delivered. Okay, there is also the compliance indicators. All right, assessing adherence to policies, that's very important. Okay, standards, governance, I think that's one of the most important indicators. Productivity indicators, yes, evaluating the completion rate of the tasks, output levels, Of course, satisfaction indicators, gauging the customer satisfaction, service experience, timeliness indicators, all right, responsiveness, on time delivery, all right, adaptability indicators. I think that's one of the newest ones. All right, to track flexibility in responding to changes is quite new. All right, communication indicators as well. All right, clarity of reporting, of communication, frequency of communication, transparency as well. That's very important. How satisfied are the stakeholders with our reporting data, our communication? Okay. And then there are these risk management indicators like how effective are we in monitoring risks, identifying risks, etc. So here we can also have examples of PMO service delivery performance indicators. Okay, like for example, methodologies and framework management. Okay, so here we're monitoring the adherence rate to standardized methodologies for the purpose of measuring the percentage of projects following the standardized methodologies and frameworks set by the PMO. Also for systems and tools management as a service. Okay. Now here we're calculating like the average response time for a system support request. Like for example, whenever we receive a request from a customer, how long does it take us to respond to that service? Does it take days? Does it take weeks, hours, etc.? So here we, is for the purpose of tracking the average time taken to respond to resolve issues or support requests related to PMO systems and tools. Also, we provide training and development as PMO. That's actually one of the first things we were ever established for as PMO. All right. So here, our performance indicator is, for example, we can decide, to calculate the participation rate in our training programs. Okay. Are people really joining our training programs? Is participation rate increasing, decreasing, etc.? And that again, for the targeted employees, see if they attend the scheduled training and development sessions. Okay, project management, of course, that's where that's our mother nature, I would call it. All right. So, for example, tracking the on-time delivery rate of project milestones. All right. Yes, we're not responsible for projects directly, unless if we take over projects or manage projects directly. But still, it is in our benefit to make sure that projects are completed on time, deliveries meet expectations. Yes, so we need to support the project managers, in that. All right. Stakeholder engagement also. How frequent is the communication with the stakeholders, and frequency of updates within the specified period, for example, a specified period. Okay, so these are examples, okay, of service delivery performance indicators, just to let you know that it is very important. Whatever service we're delivering, whatever service, we need to have a mechanism for measuring it, assessing it, so later on, we can know what to improve in it. All right, let's have a question. Next slide. Yes. So a PMO provides a range of services, including portfolio reporting, risk management guidance, and resource allocation support. Recent feedback indicates that some stakeholders feel the PMO is slow to respond and clear about the impact of its services. To address this, the PMO wants to implement a monitoring system that demonstrates value while identifying improvement opportunities. By the way, we did not take any question, I think, from the real PMP exam, but really, someone asked me, I don't know if it was yesterday or today morning, okay? Someone asked me, "Hey, Ahmed, the questions we're seeing in the presentation, are they exactly similar to the ones we will get in the PMO, PMI, PMOCP exam?" They're very similar, like really, really similar. Okay. We did not copy any question, but we know that these questions are very similar. Yes, I remember those questions, very similar ones in the PMI, PMOCP certification exam. So, which combination of actions will be the most effective for sophisticated service monitoring? All right. So, we want to implement a monitoring system to demonstrate value while identifying improvement opportunities. So, establish key performance indicators for each service, track SLA compliance, and analyze trends over time to identify areas for improvement. That sounds good. Conduct quarterly satisfaction surveys and address complaints as they arise. Quarterly? Oof, isn't that like too far? Uh, and addressing complaints as they arise. Don't we have a system, to avoid or proactively deal with, any unfavorable situation before it turns into a complaint? I don't know. Track only SLA compliance metrics. I told you, any answer with only, for example, we know it's wrong, assuming that meeting SLAs ensures stakeholder satisfaction. Rely on anecdotal feedback already from senior stakeholders to prioritize PMO initiatives. Now, actually, we will go with the KPIs for each service, tracking SLA compliance, and analyzing trends over time. I would appreciate that. Okay. All right. Good. Now, let's move on to the eighth step, the service improvement. Now, we've monitored the service. Now we can improve the service, all right, based on our performance. Okay. Now, let's have an overview. What's service improvement about? Continuous assessment. So we continuously assess, enhance our PMO service maturity levels, okay, and also the value being delivered. We try to create improvement cycles like through assessments, planning, implementation, reviews. Of course, we will rely on the data we have, the customer feedbacks. We do some benchmarking. We do some research. We do some researches. Yes, we do more than that. Okay, and even best practices. Okay, even recommendations. Okay, we hear like our customers. We listen to everyone involved, and then we try to refine our services. Develop. Now, some services will be improved. Others will be developed from scratch. Some other services will be retired because there is no need for them anymore. Okay, so here we will have our usual cards, the steps. Here we have 6 of them. Okay, we will start by conducting a comprehensive service maturity assessment. All right, for the purpose of evaluating the effectiveness, efficiency, and alignment of each service with organizational goals. All right, this assessment then informs analyzing maturity gaps, identifying improvement opportunities, okay, where we highlight areas where the services can be optimized or enhanced. And then based on these, the PMO will develop a service improvement roadmap. I like that, having a roadmap, okay, in which, we will outline the priorities, timelines, resource allocation for targeted initiatives. Then a PMO service enhancement initiatives. And we will definitely have like sort of action plans. All right. So these initiatives will be implemented to address the identified gaps, improve service delivery. Throughout this process, then the PMO will actively manage feedbacks, manage feedbacks, document lessons learned, okay, ensure insights are captured to refine approaches, and then finally the improved services are transitioned into operational, okay, if there was some enhancement only, or we do the onboarding if they were newly created, okay. So we're embedding them into standard practice, but we're also at the same time sustaining performance and stakeholder satisfaction. Okay, so you see, this is how we do the service improvement steps, and it's so logical. Like if you really read it again, or if you watch again the recording of this session, you will know it really makes perfect sense. All right. Now let's start with our first card, like conducting a comprehensive PMO service maturity assessment. Of course, we can evaluate each service maturity using clear clear criteria focused on service delivery. All right. We focus on effectiveness, efficiency, alignment with organizational goals, stakeholder also satisfaction. And this will generate a service maturity reporting. Okay, so we need to consolidate all the insights into a structured report that highlights current maturity levels, gaps, areas for improvement. So the report then will guide improvement actions, providing clear roadmap to optimize services and progressively enhance the PMO maturity over time. And that becomes a habit, okay, a habit among the PMO team members. Then the next step is analyzing maturity gaps an important one, okay, and identifying improvement opportunities, okay. So first, we analyze the gaps. We try to identify the gaps by comparing current and target maturity. Okay, what's the current maturity level? What's the target maturity level? We analyze the root causes and try to align with organization goals. Try to identify improvement opportunities. Like we try to prioritize improvements by impact, overall impact on the organization. Okay, alignment with organizational goals, complexity. All right, yeah. Sometimes we prioritize based on complexity. Sometimes based on the resources availability or interdependencies. Of course, we wish to have quick wins, or not wish. We plan to have quick wins. So we need to select easy to implement improvements, which could give us immediate benefits. All right. Have some feasibility analysis, evaluate costs, benefits to support investment decisions. And finally, we will report. Okay, we will report the maturity improvement proposal, like summarize the findings, recommendations, and a report to guide improvements planning, so we can effectively enhance the PMO service maturity. All right. And then next step is to develop a PMO service improvement roadmap. Okay, set an objectives, defining measurable, value-driven goals aligned with the overall PMO strategy. Okay, they're not coming from just from the air. Now they're aligned. Okay, with the strategy. We can we can plan on having a phased approach. Okay, long-term approaches or long-term plans can be overwhelming. Short approaches, short initiatives with a medium and long-term view or vision. Yeah. This way we balance impact and resource use. All right. Of course, establishing timelines, milestones, assigning ownership among the team members, planning for the resources, okay, based on their availability, budgets, and then align the roadmap with the PMO valuing framework for a more holistic maturity enhancement. Okay. The next step is to implement this enhancement initiatives. Okay, so we will decide the implementation team. We will hire them. We have our plan. Okay, we have our detailed rolling plans with defined tasks, timelines, dependencies. Here, when we have the implementation team, we'll define the appropriate authority levels and expertise needed. Okay, we can have a pilot. Okay, to validate the enhancements in controlled environments before the full deployment. How are we gonna manage the changes? Okay, so here we execute, communicate, etc. Be ready to be flexible. Like for example, have some review checkpoints so we can readjust priorities, even respond to emergent needs or urgent needs, emerging and urgent, some of them. Okay, yeah, you need to have the performance metrics while implementing. All right, so continuously, track both process and outcome indicators so you can monitor progress and success. And of course, here continuously identify any potential risks which would impact the implementation. All right. And then we need to manage feedback and lessons learned, collect customer feedback, again, through surveys, reviews, check-ins, all right, and then document the lessons learned so we can, refine future initiatives and strengthen our PMO knowledge base. Okay, we have our own PMO knowledge base in which we document lessons learned, experiences, etc., for future initiatives, for future creation of future service catalogs. All right. And finally, transition to PMO service operations or onboarding. So whatever improvements we have made, whatever retired services retired or new services emerged, all of those we have to take them to operations to onboarding. Okay, so we need to have transition criteria by define a readiness benchmarks. Okay, for moving from improvement to operations. Have a transition plan, right? Like with timelines, responsibilities, who does what, communication process for smoother handover. Do the monitoring. So you need to maintain support, track the performance to ensure sustainable integration. Then have service reviews, periodic evaluations to identify ongoing improvement opportunities. See, each time we talk about improvement, we call it opportunities. Yes, because really improvements are opportunities. All right. So that is very, very important. Okay. Also keep stakeholders informed and supported during this transition. Engage them. Let them know what's going on. You see, I mentioned earlier about some of the key skills. If people have them by 2030, when AI almost takes over everything, we know that we humans we have something unique. Okay, and one of those skills is really early engagement, proactive engagement. Same as we do with risk management, proactive identification of risks, proactive, response to risks, also proactive risk engagement. Proactive doesn't mean regular. No, it means anticipating in advance how the stakeholders would behave, what would be their needs, what would they need, what would be their demands, and we act early and we get them in our sphere of influence, okay? And then always establish mechanisms for ongoing optimizations and enhanced services, right? So I think that was it for this step. All right, let's have a question. The PMO has implemented KPIs to monitor project delivery times. After 3 months, the metrics show some projects consistently exceeded planned timelines, but root causes vary, like unclear requirements, resource bottlenecks, or scope changes. All right. So we have KPIs monitor delivery times, but after some period, metrics show exceeding the planned timelines. But root causes vary. Like we have delays, and they are due to clear requirements, resource bottlenecks, scope changes. So, what should the PMO leader do to improve service monitoring effectively? Analyze KPIs by project type and identify the underlying cause for each delay, then adjust process accordingly. That this answer fits with PMI's mindset. Whenever we have an issue, first, okay, we start by understanding the real cause, the root cause behind that. Focus only. We said that such answer we know is wrong on projects with the largest delays. Nope. I know some people would pick this answer, but it doesn't fit with PMI's mindset. Enforce. We don't pick answers with enforce. Enforce a stricter timeline adherence policy for all projects. Reduce monitoring. We don't reduce monitoring effort for smaller projects to save time. Now let me tell you this. Back to the question from the guy who asked me if the questions of the PMI PMOCP are easy like this. 60 questions out of 120 are easy. Yes, you will have 120 questions in the PMI PMOCP exam. 60 of them are as easy as this one. Yes, yes, absolutely. All right. Let's have another question. The PMO in an organization is implementing a service improvement initiative to enhance project reporting. A pilot approach is being used to test the changes with a select group of customers before full implementation. During the pilot, the team identifies challenges with data accuracy and customer adoption. So what should the PMO leader do next? I told you, all the questions, almost all the questions and the exam are about the PMO leader. Use the pilot results to refine processes, update the implementation plan, and address identified challenges. Proceed the full rollout while providing training to customers to address any concerns during implementation. Limit feedback. No, we don't limit. It's obviously this is wrong. Limit feedback collection to only influential customers, assuming their no, we don't assume also their perspectives. Perspective represents overall needs. No, focus on achieving quick improvements of the initiative. Deferring, we don't defer. Any identified issues for later phases? Nope. Okay, and we don't proceed with the full rollout. Okay, so we better use the pilot results to refine processes, update the implementation plan, and address the identified challenges. Okay, all right. Let's have now. We just finished this chapter. All right. Let's have tips and tricks. Let's have now tips and tricks for this chapter. So, PMO performance monitoring. This is a continuous value-focused learning process. Yes, actions are guided by evidence, absolutely, real-time data. Oh, yes. And measurable insights rather than assumptions. You see, we don't make assumptions. Consistency, quality, and alignment with organizational goals, they build trust and credibility. Absolutely. We need to continuously assess and adapt to refine, develop, or retire services in order to maximize relevance and impact. Yes, we should not be rigid. We shouldn't say, no, we've worked 1.5 years on this service catalog. We cannot now change anything in it. I've heard this. No, we don't say that. No, we don't say that. No, if you need to retire some service, do it. If you need to refine, do it periodically. The PMO operates as an adaptive strategic enabler, integrating monitoring, learning, and collaboration. Yeah, absolutely. Please remember this one. This one is so important, really important one. Okay? And focus on outcomes and organization value, not just delivering outputs or metrics for the sake of delivering because it's contractual, it's expected. No, deliver value. Okay? Now, before we move on to realization, okay, which is the last chapter, okay, last chapter in the flywheel, not last chapter in the presentation. In the presentation, we still have two more chapters besides this one. Please remember this, guys. Um, you need to like and share all of the three summary posts so you can get your training completion certification, because the number of people who liked and shared the second summary post, which we shared yesterday, is less than almost half of the people who liked and shared the first summary post. But then they cannot get the certification. Only those who really like and share each summary post. Look, we really do put in a lot of effort in this. We're doing it with love. Each time you support us by liking, sharing, spreading the information in the community, making sure it reaches a lot of people around the world. That makes us feel good. That makes this effort. We've been working on this for almost 2 months, my colleagues and I. Okay, and especially my colleagues, really. Now, at least we as appreciation to their efforts. All right. Now we're done with as a PMO. Now we've done it all. Yes, we understood that we raised awareness, we identify the needs, we prepare the value proposition, they build the service catalog, we onboarded the services, we operated them, we monitored them, we try to improve them. But now the question is, did we realize the expected value? Yes, did our customers get the value they wanted? We need to know, is it confirmed? Do they confirm that they have received the expected value? Yes or no? So, sorry, let me just check something. Yeah. Okay. So here, we're right here, okay, at the service, at the value delivery. And then we will see the value recognition. This is the realization chapter. It has got two steps: value delivery, okay, and then value recognition. Do our customers confirm that they have received the value they want, and is it recognized? All right, that's very important. Now, what's this about? Okay, so this is the process. So let's start with step 9, which is the value delivery. Let's have an overview about it. This is the process of providing and communicating the measurable benefits of our services as PMO, such as, for example, improved project success rates. Very important. You see, I said project success rates. Okay, cost savings, resource efficiency, risk reduction, alignment with customer organizational goals, of course, while building trust and reinforcing the PMO's contribution. So, have we delivered tangible results, benefits? We need to demonstrate that. Okay, it's good to prove that when you do some good work, you see, sometimes it's good to talk about it, to prove it, to show it. Okay, make sure that whatever we have delivered provides value, and that value is aligned with the customer and organizational objectives. We can prove it by using clear indicators, measurable indicators like efficiency, effectiveness, and impact over time, and then have those quantifiable results, like success rates, cost savings, etc., etc. Right? Now, in this step, number 9, which is value delivery, okay, here, value delivery, we're going to have our steps, our cards, the 5 cards this time. So here we will begin by establishing comprehensive value measurement framework, all right, that defines key metrics and aligns with organizational goals, all right, which of course then will enable quantitative impact analysis. Of course, we need to turn everything into numbers to measure actual performance, of course, such as the one with the most important indicators is the project success rate, all right, or efficiency improvements. These results are then compared against the customer expected benefits realization, okay, to identify any possible gaps or even opportunities for improvements to demonstrate tangible PMO value, okay, and then finally, insights from this process will feed into um, iterative refinement and process realignment to ensure continuous improvement, alignment with stakeholders' expectations, and sustained value delivery. All right. So this is how to implement the value delivery steps. Let's start by the first step, which is establishing a comprehensive value measurement framework. Okay. So in this value measurement framework, we will begin by defining the outcome indicators. Uh, these, like, first of all, see if the outcome is aligned. Here, we need to have measurable indicators for each PMO service outcome. See if it's aligned with the SLAs, the customer expectations, and the organizational objectives. Okay. Collecting the data, like through standardized, consistent methods of collecting reliable quantitative data, like cost savings, productivity, efficiency, and then reporting on the value, like having a clear standardized reporting formats, again dashboards, scorecards, reports, and establish a regular data collection and reporting cadence. Now if you think there is some sort of repetition, uh, you see, we try to follow the guide, the guide, and we try to show you that the mindset of PMI, it really sometimes repeats in some steps to enhance that knowledge in you. It's not for the purpose of repeating, we're enhancing that. Okay, so PMI tries to make sure that you really understand very well how it thinks, how PMI thinks. Next step is to conduct quantitative impact analysis. Okay, so we do data collection, we gather quantitative financial impact data on PMO services, like for example, how much in percentage did we improve this? Um, how much cost saving did we do in this area? For example, I remember one of the, I remember a company which had really cost drain, all projects were ending over budget, poorly performing on cost. It was due to various reasons. A PMO was established, and slowly, it put, governance standards in place, services, and really, we could see, over the time that the performance of the project managers on their projects was improving. Okay, many indicators really improved. Here, also check the trends. All right, so identify any performance patterns, any improvement areas, and then whatever findings you find, you summarize the results in clear visuals, and then you report on them. Okay. Then evaluating the customer's expected benefits realization. What did the customers expect? And then we compare that to what we have delivered. Okay. So first we need to reconfirm their expectations. We need to go to the customer, revisit their expectations and their desired outcomes from the earlier stages. Of course, we need to have a established tracking system, to track the progress. Then baseline the comparison, like we compare the before and the after analysis, so we can measure the impact and quantify the improvements after the PMO intervention. How were the results before PMO, and how are the results after PMO? You can even have some case studies, like to showcase successful examples of value creation and lessons learned. You can, for example, pick a type of projects which was conducted last year before having a PMO, and then this year with the PMO, and we compare between the performance of both similar projects. Okay. For example, we have a customer who keeps asking always for the same projects or services, so we can use that customer, as comparison, and as case studies. And then finally, we report on benefits. We need to consolidate all the results into customer value scorecards and even benefits realization reports, so we can demonstrate the delivered value. Okay, whatever scorecards or reports that will show that really our presence as PMO has brought a lot of value to the company. Absolutely. And then we need to communicate that value delivery results. Okay. We compile the all the quantitative, strategic customer value data. We craft a clear story, in our narrative, clear story linking the PMO impact to the organizational success. It's so important to really make sure people know that whatever was achieved in that area, part of it is because of the presence of PMO. You cannot ignore that. You cannot hide it. All right. Prepare your communication materials like reportings, presentations. Use data visuals like infographics, dashboards. Make them simple. Okay. Make them simple. Don't overcomplicate things. Sometimes people fail to report their success because they overcomplicate it. Make it simple, like, one arrow going up and a star exploding, and everyone knows, yes, it's success. Okay. Have your reporting scheduled, sorry. Um, Create your communication strategy and choose your communication means. Do you want to report on the company board, or decision board, or do you want to report on different meetings, etc.? And use feedback to shape future PMO focus areas. Show that you have a roadmap and that you have plans. Okay, very important. And then make sure that you have your iterative refinement and you have your processes realigned by having the value gap analysis process established, having a strong root cause identification of any failures, any poor performances. Then always make sure that your action or your improve. You can develop improvement plans. You have a mechanism for that, and you can even have some improvement metrics. Okay, like updated performance measures for better accuracy and relevance. Um, and then also you have a structured plans for adapting to any changes, and always you're going to improve continuously. All right, that's part of your DNA right now. Okay. um PMO's value perception, it can be perceived differently. Okay. But always, whatever benefits we have actually delivered. Okay. Plus the whatever we delivered, regarding stakeholders understanding and recognition, that's how our value is perceived. Okay. So it's the actual benefits we have delivered, plus the what the stakeholders expected. That's what really mixed up or makes up our PMO value perception. Okay. um, and yeah, remember, you need always to adapt to customer expectations because they change over time. So we need to have adaptive support here and adaptive planning. All right. If this year we managed to meet customers' needs, for example, okay, we delivered the customers' needs correctly. continuing with the same plan might not guarantee success for us in the next year. Yes. Why? Because maybe the customer needs will change. So therefore, we need to adapt. Have that mindset. Um, you see, this is the mindset of continuous improvement intelligence. This is why it's almost rare to see someone staying on top, like someone like individual or entity, company, even country, staying on top forever. No way. Because um, sometimes, succeeding in achieving your objectives can make you forget about improving or listening to your customers, to your partners, maybe to your stakeholders, thinking that there is only this methodology or this approach, and also that you forget that there is competition. There are innovations. So, in order to really continuously deliver value as PMO, and that value is always appreciated, adapt, search, um, benchmark, etc. Okay, so these are some key or some common delivery performance indicators. Okay, so the key indicator categories, like for example, the performance impacts. So here we measure the project success rate, schedule adherence, how adherent to schedules are we, budget compliance, of course, operational efficiency, like assessing the process streamlining, cycle time reductions, even waste minimization, uh, cost cost management. So here tracking cost savings, budget control, resource utilization, efficiency, risk mitigation. Okay, were we successful in reducing the product risks and unplanned disruptions? The customer satisfaction. Okay, here we are measuring the satisfaction with tangible results and strategic alignment. Okay, measuring contribution to PMO outcomes and organizational objectives. And of course, resource optimization, we talked about like monitoring efficient resource allocation and utilization. Okay, so these are common value delivery performance indicators. So whenever they're asking us or someone is evaluating our performance, these are the most common value delivery performance indicators. Okay. Now we can look at some examples of value delivery performance indicators, for example, the better availability of skilled resources for most projects and project managers. They want to have available skilled resources. Okay, so here the performance indicator is about the customer perception of resource expertise. Here, the PMO customer satisfaction is about how they perceive the expertise and skills level of program managers, project managers, reflecting confidence in resource quality. So we're providing quality project managers. We're providing quality program managers, for example. Better project prioritization. I like this one. Many companies run multiple projects, but which projects are prioritized? Because we have limited resources, for example, limited funds. We definitely need to prioritize the projects that will bring the highest benefit and value to the company. Okay. So here, the performance indicator is how the PMO customer perceives the project prioritization. Okay, effectiveness. Were we effective? Were we correct in the prioritization? So here we will measure the executive satisfaction with the alignment of project prioritization to strategic goals to reflect the PMO strategic focus. Okay. Also the data, the availability of data. Okay, or of information. So how satisfied is the customer with the information accessibility? Okay, so here we need to assess how accessible and useful the users found the data, and if we are supportive enough to help them take informed decisions. Okay, improving the success rates. Okay, here how the customer perceives the project success consistency. Right here we will assess our customers' confidence in our ability as PMO to consistently enable successful projects. And then reduction of exposure to risks. Here, are they confident in our risk management process? And on our proactive risk management, risk mitigation efforts. Okay, so these are some of the indicators on which we will be evaluated against. When we are measuring our performance, our value delivery performance. How was our performance in delivering value? Okay, whether it's availability of data, increasing success rates of projects, better project prioritization, etc., etc. Okay, so therefore, we need to have some effectiveness metrics. Okay, we can have some tangible metrics for measuring our effectiveness, like on time, on budget project completion, resource utilization rate, customer satisfaction, cost savings. And there are also some intangible metrics like better harmony among the entire teams involved, better morale, more maturity, okay, recognized. And though this maturity one, and even the morale, even the satisfaction, they can be, or the happiness, they can be measured somehow. Okay. All right. So going back to put you in context. So in this chapter, realizing the value, we just looked at delivering the value. Okay, have we delivered the value? We looked at these different steps. Okay, to help us really know and show if we have delivered the expected value. Okay, let's have a question before we move on to the value recognition. The PMO manages services across multiple projects with the portfolio. Some project managers report receiving conflicting guidance from different PMO staff members, causing confusion and delays in project execution. Leadership wants to ensure consistent service delivery across the portfolio. Now, leadership means whoever is leading the company or the different initiatives, or maybe leading the strategy itself. All right. So here, the PMO it manages services. Some project managers report receiving conflicting guidance from the PMO staff members. That's not good. And this has caused confusion and delays in project execution. So the leadership, they want to ensure consistent service delivery across the portfolio. So what is the best way for the PMO leader to address this issue? Let PMO staff continue providing guidance independently. No, because they already messed up with the project managers and their understanding and the conflicting guidance. No. Standardize service delivery procedures by defining workflows, roles, responsibilities, and escalation paths to ensure consistent guidance across all projects. Yes, absolutely. Focus only, nope, on projects with the largest budgets, leaving others to resolve conflicts themselves. No, that's very passive. You have to take active action. In PMI's mindset, you don't let people handle issues or discomfortable situations on their own. No, you have to intervene as a PMO leader. Reduce PMO. No, we don't reduce that. So it's definitely answer B. All right. Before moving on to the last step in the flywheel, let me remind you, please stay online until the last slide, until the last slide of this course. There are surprises. There is a mini test of 10 questions. There is the code everybody wants so they can complete the final form. Okay, so please stay with us online until the end. And remember, I really need to remind everyone, you need to like and share the 3 summary posts, not only to get your completion certification, but to spread the word. Really help us spread the word. We're not benefiting anything from this course except your happiness, except your satisfaction, except helping you succeed. That's all what we're gaining, really. We're doing this as a give back. So this is our flywheel, which is part of our PMO value ring. We've completed the awareness building and needs assessment stage. Okay. Then we proposed the value, developed, created the service catalog, and we created the services. Then we onboarded them and we operated them. Then we monitored our efficiency and suggested improvements and taken action. Then we made sure that we delivered value in form of outcomes, tangible outcomes, okay, outcomes with benefits. And now we need to know how is the value being recognized, right? So, value recognition actually, it ensures that customers understand and appreciate the benefits of the PMO services. Okay, that's very important. Customers understand and appreciate the benefits of the services, bridging the gap between delivered and perceived value. Um, Value recognition validates prior PMO flywheel steps, indicating awareness building, needs assessment, value proposition, service development, value delivery, organizational impact, as I just mentioned. Okay. So recognizing value, it not only makes the PMO feels good, okay? It's not about feeling good. It builds a culture of project management excellence. I like that word. Okay. Leading to stronger stakeholder support, better resource allocation, increased strategic influence for the PMO. So within the PMO value cycle, right, the entire cycle we saw here, okay, value recognition reinforces the PMO's relevance, sustains momentum for future value delivery, secures ongoing engagement, and enhances future awareness efforts by strengthening stakeholder trust. It solidifies, okay, it makes it like stronger, the PMO's reputation, credibility, and strategic role while validating outcomes, trustworthiness, and even customer centricity across the organization, right? So, uh, bridging the value, validating the outcomes, sustaining the growth. Yes. Okay. Go back to the OCS we saw in the first session. And then focusing on qualitative like indicators to implement quantitative metrics. Now, our cards, our steps on how to implement the value recognition steps. We will have 6 steps, okay? The value recognition step, it begins with the customer surveys, all right? Um, which identify how stakeholders perceive PMO value. These insights will later on these insights, directly inform workshops like facilitating PMO value recognition workshops, where the team they validate their findings, they uncover success stories, they generate actionable recognition points. Then whatever comes out from these workshops, they will feed into the value dashboard, the value recognition dashboard. All right. Providing visual, measurable record for PMO contributions. The dashboard will then support storytelling campaigns, of course, to showcase our success. So these will allow success to be communicated widely, consistently. So these campaign engagement highlights areas for improvement, which are then captured through a 360-degree PMO value feedback system. And finally, through this feedback, we will, conduct value recognition events. Like we need to celebrate, right? Where achievements are celebrated, we reinforce the stakeholder engagement, maybe sometimes even renew our relationships with stakeholders. Some stakeholders doubted us along the way, but now we can, re-engage with them, and this, will complete the entire loop and will shape the next round of surveys. All right. So again, we will take as usual each step, in details. So, conducting the PMO customer value perception surveys. Again, as we saw before, all right? So, we need to design the surveys, then, report on the surveys in visual way, track the trends, highlight the misalignments, and, keep the customers informed, all right? Share the findings with them. Then, we need to facilitate the PMO value recognition workshops. Yes, it's first. I think some of us hear this for the first time. How can we have workshops to recognize value? Yes, we can have interactive workshops like sessions, hosting sessions to discuss and visualize PMO contributions. using activities like value mapping. Whatever needs were put on the plan. Let's map each output to that need and demonstrate the value. All right, which gain did it bring to the customer, or which pain did it relieve the customer from? Okay, have some insights documentation, like record and share key insights to guide the strategy and service improvement. And then even have some post-workshop engagement. Okay, so to follow up to assess the impact and strengthen the ongoing value recognition. All right, and then you need to develop and maintain the value recognition dashboard. Yes, we will need it for current work and future work. All right. So we'll create the dashboard. This is the visual um, dashboard which shows our key value metrics, like, for example, keeping the customer satisfied, the use of our services, percentage of use. For example, we need to know, we provide the project managers with 100 templates. Which of these templates are used the most? No, let's say 100. The 100 is too many. Let's say we have created 20 templates for the project managers. And we thought as PMO that all of these templates are needed in each and every project. That's what we think. All right. Now we will track which templates will be used the most. We noticed that 10 templates are used the most and 10 templates are used rarely. The 10 templates which are used the most are those which come in the initiation and planning phases. But the templates which are used during execution and monitoring, they're rarely used because then project managers are dragged by the execution of the projects, managing conflicts between team members and stakeholders, focusing on the creation of deliverables, dealing with technical problems, and they forget about documentation templates, because even though 33% of the project manager's work is documentation. So here, we will, by having our dashboards to show, by tracking which service is being used, if it's training service, if it's documentation service, if it's, whatever, that will help us, know which value we're being delivering, or we're delivering, sorry. Okay. Assess the accessibility. Okay. So, we need to share that, all of our documentation dashboards, share them widely via intranet and update regularly. Okay. Of course, we need to customize depending, on who is requesting which information from, our dashboard. Make it visible. Okay. So, like having monthly PMO success stories or alerts, and then even use some gamification, like adding some technology, some features to encourage participation and highlight value. All right, like whatever gamification you choose, like some prizes, some interaction of different types. All right, like badges, for example, the most loyal customers, the top fans. I have used that. You will see that in one of the slides at the end. Okay. And then, after developing and maintaining the PMO value recognition dashboard, okay, in which we will, highlight how our value was delivered, then we will do our storytelling campaigns. Okay. Um, we need to organize our campaigns, sharing, our success stories through case studies, videos, infographics, newsletters, testimonials, etc. Have a strategy for content sharing, like, through planning, releasing stories regularly across multiple channels. Like we do right now. For example, every company, they share their successes. They have YouTube, they have Instagram, maybe LinkedIn, maybe Facebook. So they could showcase, what they're doing, sharing that regularly, etc. You can plan your events, have your storytelling events. Like, for example, you can think of having PMO Impact Day. Yeah, it's a very nice name. Like across an entire year, 365 days, One day can be dedicated to PMO, where they showcase, their successes, which projects they helped, etc. Okay, how and integrate the stories into our organizational communications. Like whenever the organization is making announcements, they include the PMO, as part of that. All right. And you need to track engagements. Okay, engagement of people, the perception, uh, how the perception shifts to refining storytelling efforts, etc. Okay, but that's really good. Yes, absolutely. That will help. The value be recognized. Don't mind receiving feedback. You can implement a 360-degree feedback. All right. So, you gather insights from all the customer touch points using surveys. You check the trends, identify any value trends, address pain points, close feedback loops by showing responsive actions and conduct feedback forums. Okay, so hold group sessions to discuss experiences, use value alerts to quickly or for quick action on key feedbacks. Okay, so yes, welcome feedback. It's always good. It helps you improve. It helps you grow. All right. So storytelling is good, showing successes, but also show the lessons learned. Which lessons did you learn? And what are your improvement actions for the future? Yeah, I mean, most companies do that. And then you organize the value recognition events. Okay, you decide the event types. Do you want to have regular spotlight sessions, some interactive expos, okay, to showcase your successes? Make sure you have some internal reach, like, by, running travel roadshow, for example, with tailored presentations, gamified challenges, okay? Can also, depend on some external collaboration, like bring in experts, collect feedback, maybe use some polls. Have your executives involve leaders, so can highlight the PMO strategic impact and share the event highlights. And then always measure impact. Monitor the attendance of people, feedback, so you can improve for future events. For example, I did that. I did that for this training I'm delivering to you. This one. I was in the office. My colleague, Hannah, was by my side, but was like, sitting in the same space on her desk. And I opened a voice message from of you guys, one of those people, one of you guys attending this training. And it was a lady, I think she was a Tunisian. I don't know if she was, I think she was residing in France because her number was plus 33. And she gave me some feedback on the first session. She told me, "Hey, Ahmed, you're going too fast. I can barely understand you. And it doesn't sound like storytelling to me. I could not capture everything. Like, I am a fresh graduate and I needed to be like in a form of storytelling so I can memorize it." And I was telling myself, okay, I thought I did a good job on the first session, but this is a good one. And my colleague Hannah, she was laughing. She was laughing so loud, really like loudly laughing. And she told me, this is a good one. Okay. So that's why, that's why that's one of the reasons on session two, I was slow. Actually, before, going on session one, my colleague Hannah was asking me, hey, Ahmed, hey, please, do you think 3.5 hours, 3:15, because, there is a break, do you think 3 hours, 15 minutes are enough to cover 100 pages? I told her, you know what? I'll make it enough. Then I figured, maybe I was a bit speedy for some people, even though I know it's a good rhythm, but, we don't. So anyway, I adapted in the second session. All right, and it was more of storytelling, more of as much as I could. You see, we all improve based on feedback. Really, it was one short voice message, uh, and that's it. Like few seconds, no message after that from her. But it really helped, maybe to adjust the rhythm, the pace, etc. Okay. Now, and then, you need to organize your events. So, How do you know that your value was recognized? Okay. Okay. For example, you can look at the Net Promoter Score. How many customers are willing to recommend your services compared to detractors? If more promoters than detractors, and you have a positive NPS, positive Net Promoter Score, then it's likely like more customers will recommend you than customers not recommending you, for example. You can also check the trust level. Like, you got, check with the executives and stakeholders' confidence. Do they perceive you as a reliable and credible PMO? If yes, if that's high, and if that indicator is high, well, that's really great. What about strategic partner perception? Like, assessing whether the PMO is seen as aligned with the long-term organizational goals. If the company or stakeholders or departments see the PMO as a strategic partner, I mean, even it's internal, yes. Okay. What about the overall satisfaction? Okay, the general perceptions of the service quality and effectiveness. What about the indicator about our innovation and adaptability? Our ability to evolve and introduce beneficial improvements. What about culture? Are we culturally aligned? Okay. Do we support organizational values and culture? And then also our contribution to learning and maturity. Okay. So assessing the PMO's role in promoting knowledge, sharing continuous improvement. And then, was there an impact on the organization overall? How customers view our overall contribution to the organization's success? So we're just sharing with you examples of indicators, which later, will help you maybe, during your PMO deployment, right? So here are some value recognition indicator category examples, as we saw earlier with previous tables. Okay, like strategic alignment indicators. So assessing how well our efforts are perceived to align with the organization's strategic goals. Okay, so here it's about the executive's perception of our contribution. Um, for example, innovation and continuous improvement indicators. Okay, like here we focus on customer perceptions of our ability to innovate and continuously improve. So getting feedback from on our responsiveness to changing needs and its implementation of innovative solutions. Okay, so these are just examples. I think we went through most of them. We just put them for you on a table, so you don't have them just in this wheel here, but you can have them even in a table, right? Now you could face some challenges. You could face some challenges in demonstrating your value. Okay, for example, in case you have delivered benefits but they're not measurable. They're intangible. Okay. For example, you have improved collaboration among uh, project managers or project team members. Okay. This is sometimes hard to quantify, and therefore you don't know how to prove that, how to demonstrate that. And in case someone is doubting your value as PMO, you could talk, about that. But sometimes it's hard to, if it's hard to measure, then how would you demonstrate your value? You can sometimes have some unclear metrics, like KPIs which are not well defined. So we cannot consistently measure the value, okay, because we haven't established clear metrics. Maybe also some of the challenges how to demonstrate our value is when stakeholders are misaligned. Okay, so there are different stakeholders. They have different expectations, and their expectations are different than what we have delivered. Maybe the stakeholders did not know how to express their needs. So we thought we understood their needs. We delivered great work to them, but no, that did not meet their expectations, for example. Or maybe it takes long. It takes so long to realize benefits, and customers are impatient, for example, are in a hurry. All right. Uh, Maybe there is an inconsistency in the quality of data. So some data were of great The quality, other data were of poor or incomplete. So this weakens our credibility. And then I think this is one of the most challenging ones, which is the changes in the business priorities. So organizations tend to shift their goals, so this could dilute or delay the PMO value. Okay, so this is these are some of the challenges which you could face as a PMO, which could probably you need to pay attention to when you're reporting on the value you have delivered. Let's have a couple of questions, then tips and tricks, then we take a break. Okay, we take a break, but please stay with us all the time, all the way, because we have good surprises for you and you have something which you want from us. Okay? All right. So during a PMO value assessment meeting, you notice that some PMO stakeholders focus heavily on operational details, such as meeting deadlines, while others appreciate the PMO strategic contributions. However, some stakeholders seem unable to recognize the PMO's broader value. So, how does the stakeholder maturity influence the perception of PMO value? A lack of maturity prevents recognition of PMO value and benefits. Mature stakeholders recognize both strategic and tactical contributions. Less mature stakeholders prefer technical metrics over benefits. All stakeholders, regardless of maturity, perceive PMO value equally. All right. So here we're having an assessment meeting. So some stakeholders, they focus heavily on operational details, like meeting deadlines. Others appreciate our strategic contributions, but some stakeholders are unable to recognize our broader value. So how does the stakeholder maturity influence the perception? Now, of course, more mature stakeholders, they could recognize both strategic, tactical, and even operational contributions. So this is how the maturity of the stakeholder could influence their perception. Lack of maturity prevents recognition of PMO value and benefits. Yes, yes, as well. Okay, but depends. Less mature, they prefer technical metrics over benefits. Depends. All stakeholders, regardless of maturity, perceive PMO value equally. Absolutely not. So actually, the more the mature stakeholders are, the more they recognize all types of contributions. Okay, another question. Executives state they're not seeing enough evidence that the PMO contributes to improved project outcomes. They request clearer visibility into the PMO's impact. What should the PMO leader do here? So let's repeat this. Executives, they say that they're not seeing enough evidence that the PMO contributes to any improved project outcomes. So the projects have been the same along the way. So they want to have clearer visibility into our impact as PMOs. So what should the PMO leader do? Share a summary of PMO activities to show the volume of work being done, present performance metrics and trend data that demonstrate improvements in delivery, risk reduction, and decision-making quality, provide general examples of successful projects supported by the PMO. I think this is obviously wrong. General examples, no. Highlight PMO responsibilities to clarify what the team is expected to deliver. Here, the question, the keyword here, impact. Okay. They want to have more visibility to PMO's impact. How did we impact? How did we contribute to improved project outcomes? This can be done by presenting performance metrics, trend data, How did we make the improvements in delivery, in reducing the risks, in having better decisions made? Okay, that's better than sharing a summary of our activities or highlighting our responsibilities. Okay, this is much better. Okay, what you can benefit and how you can prepare, etc. And we will even let you know later on how you can get even access to this material. Some people are asking, can we get the presentation? I think that question was repeating. And I think we will look into that. We will look into that. Yes, we can help people succeed. Okay. Anyway, look, we will take a break now. Let me see the time. What time is it? 20:36. Okay, 20:36. We will take a 15-minute break. 15-minute break, and we will come back. Please stay. Don't leave Microsoft Teams. We have really nice surprises. Don't leave. Please don't leave. Stay until the end. We still have just 1 more hour. 1 more hour. We're going to have the wrap up, then the surprises, then the mini exam, and then we will leave. Okay, so please stay on. We come back in 15 minutes. I'm going back here. Here. Yes. I'm going back here. Okay. So, besides chapter one, in which we have an introduction of the PMO, the modern PMO, right? The largest part of our course was about this PMO valuing framework. Okay, so we covered the organizational baseline elements, which help shape the PMO, the culture maturity, the organizational strategy, the structure, and even the impact of the industry. Then the PMO structural component, whatever structures the PMO mandate, the PMO charter, the PMO governance, and the PMO strategy, which should be linked to the organizational strategy. And then after that, we deep dived into the flywheel, okay, with its 5 stages. The exploration stage, which contains building awareness, of the value of the PMO, the importance of the PMO, assessing the needs of the different stakeholders. Then the design stage, where we're proposing the value. Which value are we proposing to the customers? Which gains they will get from us? And then start the service designer. Designing the services in our service catalog. Okay. And then we will go ahead and deploy the services, like onboard the services and operate them. All right. And then, because everything being onboarded in this world needs to be improved, enhanced, so we will keep, monitoring our services and thrive to, improve it. And finally, we need to make sure that we have really delivered value. So we need to make sure that we have delivered outcome that, meets with the customer's expectations, and then celebrate. Once the value is recognized, we can celebrate simply. Okay. So this is the PMO value ring framework with the flywheel. This is what we went on in this training. The organizational based elements, the PMO structural elements, the customer experience life cycle, okay, the 5 stages, and then the PMO generating or the value generating the PMO flywheel shortly. All right. So this slide 101, okay, 101, it's your best friend now. It's your best friend, doing your preparations for the PMI-PMOCP certification exam. Now we go back to our wrap up. Let's go now to our wrap up. Okay. So let's have a wrap up for this course. Okay. Let's understand how to pass. So sorry, this is wrong. It's not PMP. This is the PMO. Sorry for that mistake. Okay. Sorry for that mistake. I apologize. I apologize for that. I did not pay attention to it, so just. Yeah. So, actually, I'm suggesting a 2-week preparation plan for you. Okay. So, I think 2 weeks is enough. Really, I think 2 weeks is very, very enough for you to prepare and pass. I have had a student who uh, who took the exam, I think 3 months ago, 2 months ago, maybe. I think it took him maybe 3 months to prepare. But it's his style. He reads a lot. He's so careful for every detail. He had to read the guide 3 times, etc. This presentation is so enough for you. This presentation, this course, which has been recorded, the recording is going, the recordings have been shared on YouTube. They're so enough for you. You don't need to look anywhere else. Really. Like, these are enough. Okay. So a 2 week preparation plan is so enough. So on the first week, what we recommend is the following. Rewatch the full course videos and understand them. Really. Like, almost every session is 3 hours long. Almost. Okay. There will be a fourth session, which is not planned to be live. We're going to do it offline and we're going to share it next week. This session is about, I think, answering around 60 questions, okay, from questions which are so similar to the exam. So we're going to have an extra session of around, I think, 2 hours, I think, or something like that, okay? Plus minus, 2 hours plus minus. And it's an extra session. We're doing it for you guys. We're doing it by ourselves and we're going to share it with you, okay? But rewatching the first course videos, pausing, please, when you're rewatching the videos, pause, make sure you understand. If you don't understand something, rehear it, rewatch it. Try always to think, from the point of view of PMI's mindset. PMI wants to prove and show that companies need PMO because the PMO can provide different services to different departments, divisions, roles, people, who we call customers, okay, or stakeholders and customers, mostly customers who use the service. Those services will be diversified to meet each customer's needs. And then that entire process is described, okay, through that value ring, okay, framework. And the purpose is to deliver value. Really, the PMO should deliver value to all of the customers. During that week, also try to take your own notes. However, let me tell you this trick. When you're taking the notes, you need to think as a PMO leader. Yes, as a PMO leader, not a project manager, not a program manager, not a portfolio manager, as a PMO leader. And the PMI-PMOCP exam, you don't answer as a project manager. Yes, one third of the questions, or no, more than one third of the questions are about projects. But projects, you serving them as a PMO, not you managing them as a project manager. Now, this is a key difference. You need to answer as a PMO who's, depending on what kind of service are you offering. Is it, strategic? Is it tactical? Is it operational? Okay. And what kind of approach you have? Is it directive approach? Is it consulting approach? Is it facilitating approach? Is it directive approach? Okay. Etc. So we really need to go back to session one. I recommend you watch session one twice. Really, watch session one twice. There are a lot of questions in the PMI PMOCP exam about session one. Really, watch session one twice, minimum twice. That's what you need to do in the first week. This is short 10-hour training, okay? Then you need to take full exams one and two, which we will provide. We will explain to you at the end how we will provide the exams to whom, okay? It's the same process we did with the free training, with the free PMP training at the beginning of the year, okay? So we have full exams, each exam of 120 questions, like the a real PMI-PMOCP exam. We will provide two full exams, 1 and 2. We'll explain later how. You try to understand the PMI's mindset, as I mentioned, and also you understand the tips and tricks. Okay, those tips and tricks are so important. We will share next week. Please listen to this. We will share next week the slides with the tips and tricks on LinkedIn. Okay, with all of you. So those, like, I don't know, 5 or 10 slides, I don't know. We will share them in a PDF on LinkedIn. Please share them with everyone. We will post them. You repost them. Please help spread the knowledge. And finally, let me tell you this. You have rewatched the course. You have understood it. Memorize the flywheel or the value ring framework. Memorize it. And also memorize the elimination techniques, which we will see in a while. All right? Now, this is your 2 week preparation plan is so enough. Seriously, is so enough. Just follow it and you shall pass. Remember, we are offering 3 free retakes. We will pay for 3 retakes if 3 people pass if 3 people take the exam before year and don't pass, we will pay for your retake. It's a chance. It's a chance. Don't miss it. Okay? All right. Now, of course, what we recommend is prior to the exam day, keep a relaxed pace. Don't have these last minute studies. No, please. Rely on your personal notes. These notes, these ones, these notes. Okay, take your own notes. Rely on your personal notes. Really, your personal notes are the most important thing that will help you. When you write down things with your own hand. I know people take notes using a notepad and stuff on the computer. It's always stronger if you write with your own hands. You remember for much longer. Okay. Don't take any mock exams on the evening of the exam on the day. Okay, sleep enough, don't drink much liquids. You don't need to, because the exam can be stressful. You might, find yourself, in need of going to the bathroom. So really, myself, whenever I take an exam, I don't drink liquids that day of the exam in the morning or even the evening before because, I want to be comfortable, sitting comfortable for the exam. All right. Now, you can take the exam at home, as I said. So you can actually, we have a video. We have a video on YouTube which explains to you how to use the OnView software because you're going to take the exam, with the OnView software from Pearson View. We have a video on YouTube. Watch it. OnView will ask you to perform a system test. Let me tell you this. You need to perform the system test. If you fail to perform the system test, you cannot have the exam because the system test, you can do it 2-3 days in advance. 2-3 days in advance. Please do it 2-3 days in advance. It will let you know if you have a good computer, reliable computer, if everything is fine with the computer, okay? If your internet connection is good. So test the system with the same internet connection you're gonna use uh, for the exam if you're taking it at home, okay? So you can also practice on view. I told you we have a video and a link. We have the video on YouTube and the link to actually practice on view in reality. Choose a quiet room, quiet place. No one should enter the room. No kids, no one, nearby by you. Prepare your space. No writings on the wall. Nothing close by. Get ready for all scenarios. Have a backup internet connection. Have a backup laptop if you want. Not necessarily, okay, but at least the internet connection. When you take the exam at home, always stay within the proctor's view range because you will have the camera on, you have the microphone on, the screen shared. Don't try to cheat anyhow. Don't look around if you're taking the exam at home. Don't try to cheat anyhow, please. Eyes on the screen all the time. Eyes on the screen, guys. Eyes on the screen. And don't answer too fast. Even if you know the question. Maybe you saw the question somewhere. Don't answer too fast. No. Take your time. All right? If you're taking the exam at a test center, I recommend you go to the test center at least 30 minutes earlier, maybe an hour. In both cases, whether you're taking the exam in a test center or at home, you need a valid ID. They prefer passports. Okay. You need to have an ID with your name written on it in Latin letters. All right. So please have a valid ID, preferably a passport, a valid one. Uh, last week, last week when I took the exam, actually my passport it had it was expired by 3 or 4 weeks. I didn't notice actually because I wasn't traveling lately. So they rejected my passport. And I don't have a Tunisian driver's license. I don't have that. I never had one. And my Tunisian ID is only in Arabic letters. But luckily, I have a Swiss driver's license. So they accepted my Swiss driver's license. And I was surprised that they rejected my Tunisian passport because they said it expired. Okay. And it was the same with my Czech ID. Also, like my ID from Czech Republic, it had also expired, and I didn't pay attention to be honest. So luckily, my Swiss driver's license was valid. So please make sure you have a valid ID, really valid ID with your name written on it in Latin letters. Okay, and that's all what you need to bring to the test center. Just a valid ID and yourself. Remember, in the test center and also at home, you cannot have a smartphone, by your side, a smartwatch. You cannot have anything, honestly, just you. Okay. Now you need to manage the time. You need to manage the time because managing the time properly can help you manage your stress. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this because I asked few people who took the exam, the PMI, PMOCP exam, the one with the 120 questions. Let me tell you this. The time is just enough. Just. What does just enough? You cannot finish the exam when you have 30 minutes left. No, no, almost not. Okay? It's 120 questions, 165 minutes. It will have a countdown, so counting from 165 minutes and going down. So when you finish the first 60 questions, as we explained in the first session, you should have left around 80, maybe 80 minutes, 85 minutes. If you have less than 80 minutes, you're not doing fine in terms of time. You have 60 questions, then you can take a break of 10 minutes, then another 60 questions. Once you take the break, you cannot go back to these 60 questions at all. Really, the time is just enough. Just, I can tell you honestly, I don't mind. When I finished the exam, I had 1 minute, 30 seconds left. And I had to rush, by the way. I had to rush few questions. Yes. Really, I had 1 minute. So it means you have to be ready, you have to be prepared. You have to be very well prepared. The student our student who took the exam, he told me actually the last 30 questions, he applied this rule. He really applied this rule. He had 30 minutes remaining and 30 questions remaining. So he was not reading the text anymore of the question. He was just reading the four possible answers, applying elimination techniques, and picking the answer which fits. As simple as that. Really. And this guy is so good. This guy, he is so good. He's so smart. He's a senior manager in an international company. He's PMP certified. He's got a bunch of other certifications. He's really good. He amazed me when he told me that it took him 3 months to prepare. He read the guide 3 times. He took the course, etc., etc., etc. And yet, time was not enough. Yes. So I'm not saying that time is not enough. I'm just saying prepare very well. Apply the plan, please. Now, in the exam, if you have 30 minutes remaining and about 30 questions or more, don't read the text of the question anymore. Just read the answers and answer based on the elimination techniques, which we will see in a while. All right. Please make sure you answer all the questions in the exam. Please don't miss any question from the exam. Please. Now, the PMI-PMOCP exam questions, there are 120 questions. Now, let me tell you this, around 115, maybe 112, and multi-choice questions with four choices and one possible answer only. I think less than 115. I think it should be around 112, 113. Okay, because there are around five multi-choice questions with five choices and several possible answers. And the question will help you. It will tell you, select 2 answers, select 3 answers, select 4 answers. Okay? So I think those questions with multiple answers, okay? I think I had 7. I think I had 7. And they are not difficult. No, they're fine, really. Most of the questions, let me tell you, I'm going to be honest. Out of 120 questions, 60 questions were so easy. Already, the answer straightforward. Okay. And 60 questions require that you understand the course very, very, very well. Okay. And all the questions are situational. They put you in a situation of a company, a PMO not delivering results, or maybe leadership or executives are questioning the PMO, or the PMO is assessing maturity, PMO is trying to deliver value, PMO is onboarding services, PMO is proposing value, proposing value, PMO, exactly everything what we have seen. And I insist on everyone who's going to take the exam, watch session 1 2 or 3 times. Please watch session 1 2 or 3 times. Please, please, please. That's so important. Okay. Now, in the exam, you will have questions which ask you, what should the PMO leader do? Now, what should the PMO leader do? The question is asking you about the appropriate action, the appropriate course of action, the most effective action, the action which goes with the mindset of PMI, whether in terms of mindset or even in terms of processes. Okay. If the question asks you what to do first or what to do next, it's usually about assessing a situation, analyzing a situation, maybe collecting information, maybe reviewing a document, determining root cause or impact, maybe having a face-to-face meeting, etc. If the question is asking you what the PMO leader should have done, that means we're looking reactively backwards, like what could have been the most effective action, but in the past. So searching for the best solution in the past. So what steps could have been taken to prevent what happened? What could have been implemented to avoid the issue? That's what the question, what the PMO leader should have done means. And there's maybe just one question or 2 questions. Okay. What the PMO leader shouldn't have done, should not have done. It's so rare, these kind of questions. Okay. It's usually about selecting the worst answer. Okay. The action to be avoided. That's what this type of question asks you about. Let me tell you, I think 80% of the questions are asking what the PMO leader should do. I think uh, maybe 15% what to do first or next. And I think around 5% what should have done. And that usually when the question asks you what should have done, it means there is an issue that happened. What could have been an effective solution, but in the past. Okay. So these are the types of questions. It's similar in almost all questions in whatever PMI certification. Now, here are the elimination techniques. So whenever you see such answer, you automatically eliminate it. Like, for example, do nothing, ignore, decide later. We don't pick such answers. Enforce, oblige, impose, mandate. If there is an answer containing such words, eliminate it. It's probably wrong, 99% wrong. Firing someone, replacing a team member, releasing team member, ending the contract with the team member. No, we don't do that. Asking the team to work overtime, we don't do that. Trying to persuade higher authority like executives or following rigid approaches. Remember, PMO is about adaptability. Some passive action, like for example, recording the issue in the issue log instead of taking effective action. No passive actions. Picking easy solutions. I will ask the executives to handle the problem. No. Delegated solution. For example, there's an issue on projects impacting several projects. So instead of you as a PMO leader taking action, no, you ask the project manager to provide training to their team. No, you should provide the training, probably. Don't choose any answer with cost increase. Really, that's not part of PMI's mindset. And also avoid escalating as much as you can. It's almost rare, to have an escalating an answer with escalation as a correct answer. It's really almost rare. Okay. So these are the 10 elimination techniques. Remember, I told you one of our students passed first time, got the certification by applying these elimination techniques. Really, PMI is faithful to its mindset. PMI does not overcomplicate things. Okay. All right. So this was a short wrap up to help you with the exam. As I told you, before we move on, I have the 10 test questions. As I told you, we're going to share the tips and tricks slides on LinkedIn probably next week. So please make sure that you share them with the community. Really, we try to share as much as we could with you. Share, so help us share the knowledge. And by the way, let me remind you, you need to like and share the summary post, the three summary posts with which contain the links for for the forms, so you can qualify for the training completion certification. Now we're going to have 10 test questions and then the surprise slide, the slide with the surprises. Okay, and then we will show the code. Then we will show the code of this session. All right. So I'm going to read the question, and then I'll provide the answer. A global retail organization is expanding into new regions, each with its own leadership style and operational rhythms. As the PMO evaluates project readiness across regions, it becomes clear that many teams misunderstand the PMO's role, viewing it as a compliance function that slows delivery. Unfortunately, that's reality actually in some companies. Not reality that PMO slows delivery. Some PMOs do because they need more maturity, but that's how some companies see the PMO. Regional directors operate autonomously and have limited interaction with corporate governance teams. So the PMO needs to build awareness without appearing intrusive or corporate centric. So, which action would most effectively build meaningful awareness of the PMO's purpose and value? Deliver a single global presentation outlining the PMO's mandate, services, and governance expectations to ensure all regions receive inconsistent information. Conduct targeted region specific briefings with regional directors focusing on local operational priorities and demonstrating value through examples of successful PMO support from similar regions. Launch a quarterly PMO newsletter highlighting methodologies, templates, and corporate updates for distribution across all regions, or circulate PMO standards and process guidelines to all regional project teams to formally introduce the PMO's role and expectations. So here the question is the most effective uh, action to build meaningful awareness of the PMO's purpose and value. Okay, I don't think launching quarterly PMO newsletter would help, or having a single presentation would help either. And circulating all the standards and process guidelines, I think it's better to conduct targeted region specific briefings with regional directors, focusing on local operational priorities and demonstrating value through examples from successful previous projects or from similar regions. That's how to meaningfully raise awareness about PMO's value and purpose. Next question. A manufacturing company is experiencing production delays that may be caused by poorly scoped engineering projects. Each plant denies responsibility, and leadership has no unified view of the underlying issues. How should the PMO leader identify the real operational needs? Ask executives to identify which plant needs PMO intervention. Review only project documentation from previous quarters. conduct on-site assessments across multiple plants, comparing workflow bottlenecks and interviewing both engineering and operational teams, or focus solely on the plant with the worst KPIs. I think you already started recognizing which answers are wrong based on the elimination techniques. I think you guys started getting it right. Yeah, exactly. So, the PMO leader, how to identify the real operational issues. So we have a problem here. We need to assess, we need to understand, we need to evaluate. Okay, so we need to have on-site assessments, compare workflow bottlenecks, even talk to the engineering and operation teams. Okay, you can see how the PMO actually talks to all types of customers, not just project management customers. Okay, asking executives to do the work? No. Reviewing only project documentation from previous quarters? Nope, absolutely not. That's not enough. That's too old. Focusing solely on plant with the worst KPIs? No, no. All right, next question. Guys, before I read the question, I need to remember actually the real PMI PMOCP exam is really, it presents similar situations. That's why it's so important that you understand these situational issues. A PMO plans to introduce a cross-functional project intake process. Some business units fear this will slow down approvals, while others want more transparency but do not fully understand the PMO's role. Which approach best defines and communicates the value proposition? Before I answer this question, there was a question. There was a question from one lady. I think she's a young graduate. She asked, "Hey Ahmed, some of these questions seem hard to me, to her. Um, would the questions at the exam be, like this, the same, style?" Guys, remember, this is not an entry-level certification. No, this certification requires a number of years of experience, similar to the PMP. This is not CAPM. No, this is not an entry-level certification. Please remember this, guys, okay? So which approach best defines and communicates the value proposition? Highlight how the intake process reduces risk, improves prioritization, and provides clearer visibility into project decisions. Focus the message on compliance requirements. Promise faster approvals for all projects. We don't promise in business. Not this PMI's mindset. Communicate only. Obviously, this is wrong. After the process has been fully finalized. Now here, business units fear like this uh, intake. This process will slow down approvals, and others want more transparency, and they don't fully understand the PMO's role. So here you need to highlight how this intake process will reduce risk, will improve prioritization, and you need to provide clear visibility into project decisions, like this process, how it will do it. So that's what you need to convey as a message. Okay, now, don't promise faster approvals. Don't focus on compliance requirements because that's not the question here. And don't communicate only after the process has been fully finalized. No, early communication ensures engagement. Question 4. In a telecom company, the PMO is designing a new vendor management service. Technical teams want strict performance metrics, while procurement prefers flexibility to maintain vendor relationships. So, what should the PMO leader do to develop the service effectively? Create a draft based only on procurement's feedback, build a prototype service model, test it with a small mixed group of procurement and technical leaders, and refine it iteratively, copy a vendor management framework used at another telecom firm, or develop the service internally without stakeholder involvement. So here we're designing a new vendor management service. So the tech teams, they want strict performance metrics, and the procurement, they prefer flexibility to maintain vendor relationships. These questions put you in real situations, by the way. That's why you need to understand them. So how the PMO leader should develop the service effectively? Based only on procurement feedback? I don't think so. Copying from another firm? I doubt it. Develop service internally without stakeholder involvement? That's the biggest mistake you can ever do. So better is to have a prototype, to test with it, get feedback, and then refine it iteratively. Question 5. A financial services PMO just realized a benefit tracking service or benefits tracking service. Analysts are overwhelmed with daily work and don't see the value in documenting benefits. Leadership, however, wants immediate adoption. Leadership, that's like the executives. What's the best onboarding approach? Require mandatory training sessions, provide targeted onboarding for analysts using real examples from their current projects, supported by clear templates and quick reference guides, ask managers to onboard their teams or delay onboarding until workload decreases. Obviously, this is wrong. So here, um, this is the benefits tracking service. Analysts are overwhelmed with daily work, so they don't see the value in documenting benefits. But leadership, they want immediate adoption, of course. Okay. So best onboarding plan, absolutely provide targeted onboarding for analysts using real examples so that you can convince them, supported by clear templates and quick reference guides. Absolutely. Now, in the exam, it's not like this. It's not like the longest question, the longest answer is the right one. Not necessarily true. Okay, it's applicable in some cases, but it's not like that. I mean, we have these questions to help you understand. So, requiring mandatory training sessions for the analysts, uh, it's not the best answer. Asking managers to onboard their teams, not too vague, doesn't respond to the situation. Delaying onboarding, no way. Okay. Question 6. A logistics PMO recently rolled out a new risk escalation process meant to standardize how project issues are raised and resolved. Warehouse teams follow the process consistently, but transport operations rarely use it, resulting in delays and reactive problem management. Transport managers claim the process feels too heavy for their fast-paced environment, but leadership expects the PMO to stabilize adoption without creating operational friction. So, what should the PMO leader do to improve the service operation across all teams? Let's read the scenario again to understand it. Now, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. Maybe this is a real. This is a very. This question is very similar to one from the real exam. Very, very similar. You see, we can take the stopwatch. Look, let's take the stopwatch. Okay, because we have 165 minutes and 120 questions. So we have 1 minute and 20 seconds per question. Almost like 1 minute, 20 seconds, 1 minute, 10 seconds per question, around that. Now I'm going to take the stopwatch now, okay? And I'm going to see how much time it takes me to read the question from beginning to end, to understand it, and to be able to answer it. So I'm starting my stopwatch. You can start your stopwatch as well. So 3, 2, 1, start. A logistics PMO recently rolled out a new risk escalation process meant to standardize how project issues are raised and resolved. Warehouse teams follow the process consistently, but transport operations rarely use it, resulting in delays and reactive problem management. Transport managers claim the process feels too heavy for their fast paced environment, but leadership expects the PMO to stabilize adoption without creating operational friction. What should the PMO leader do to improve service operation across all teams? Escalate non-compliance to leadership and request formal enforcement to increase adherence across transport operations, provide targeted coaching to transport teams, clarify when escalation is required, and offer real-time support to help them integrate the process into their operational cadence, temporarily exempt transport teams from process until the PMO designs a version tailored to their workload, maintain the current approach, and allow leadership pressure to naturally drive adoption over time. Stop. It took me 1 minute and 15 seconds to read it. And I'm reading it on, like, with an average speed. Now, please, 1 minute, 15 seconds. That's exactly the time the time required to read the question, understand it, answer it, and move on to the next one. So, guys, being in control of the time is so important. And remember, I'm reading the question while I'm laying on the sofa in my house. I'm not stressed because I'm not taking a real exam here. I'm not worried, and I'm not tired. Because remember, taking 120 questions in a real exam, and some people get stressed. That could impact your level of understanding, your capacity of focusing, etc. Okay, so please practice. You need to try our mock exams. Please try them, guys. Try them, really. Try our mock exams, which we will explain to you how you can get. Try to practice time management, stress management. Try to really understand PMI's mindset and the PMO CP certification, because you know what? You know what helped me with the questions of the exam? Not because I know the guy, not because I know the practice, not because okay, I got I think above target. I think in all the domains except for one. I think I didn't have above target in that domain. I think, but I think on all the other five, I think I got above target. Okay. Yes, practice is important. Okay. However, you know what I would do if I were you? Escalate. I know it's almost wrong. Temporarily exempt. I know it's almost wrong. Maintain the current approach. And I have a problem with the current approach. I know it's almost wrong. So really, when I read the question in the exam, because when you reach question number 65, 70, 80, 90, you become tired. And you're really just wishing and hoping that it's over the exam. What would help you? Do you know what will help you? That table we showed you earlier, the elimination techniques, escalating, choosing easy solution like temporarily exempting, maintaining current approach, not doing any effective solution. No, no, really, no. That's how you know those answers are wrong. Because let me tell you this. In the PMI PMOCP exam, in most of the questions, you can easily eliminate two answers, but there are two answers which are close to each other. Okay? So here in our training presentation, we're trying to help you better understand the elimination techniques. This will help you later in the exam. So here, in this situation, some teams following the process, others are not following the process because they think it's too heavy. Okay, therefore, give them targeted coaching, clarify when escalation is required, offer real-time support, so to help them integrate the process into their operational cadence. Okay. Question 7. We still have 3 more questions. A healthcare PMO recently deployed a staffing forecast tool across several clinical and administrative departments. Early usage data is incomplete due to inconsistent reporting practices, and teams have interpreted key steps in the process differently. So, leadership has given the PMO 60 days to present an adoption assessment and recommend adjustments. How should the PMO leader monitor the service effectively under these conditions? Establish clear KPIs for adoption and data quality, collect quantitative data usage, uh, usage data, and conduct targeted discussions with departments to understand interpretation gaps and operational challenges. Monitor usage primarily through system logins, while we don't assume that variations in reporting will normalize over time. Prioritize leadership perspectives on adoption, focusing on their impressions of departmental engagement, and then or postpone monitoring efforts until data is fully complete to avoid drawing inaccurate conclusions. We don't postpone. We don't just prioritize, perspectives over others, and we don't just, assume really. So, establishing clear KPIs, collecting data, conducting targeted discussions. This will help understand, the situation and take then the proper and appropriate action. Okay. Question 8. An IT PMO's new change request service is creating project delays. Teams report inconsistent adoption, confusion about approval responsibilities, and frustration with forms that require more information than necessary. Leadership wants improvements quickly, but does not want the PMO to disrupt ongoing projects further. This sentence is reality we're living. So executives, they always want quick improvements, but they don't want the PMO to take effective solution or disrupt ongoing projects. Okay? And here we have this new service, change request service, um, creating project delays, and teams are reporting inconsistent adoption, confusion about approval responsibilities, and frustration, of course, in forms of with forms that require more information than necessary. What's the most effective way for the PMO leader to improve the service? Streamline. By the way, streamline, you will see it few times in the PMI-PMOCP exam. Few times, yes. We had it in the training. We saw it in the training. Streamline the workflow by removing redundant steps, clarify approval roles across teams, and pilot the revised process with a representative group before full rollout. Reduce the number of approval steps significantly to accelerate processing and increase adoption across teams. I don't think we can do that. I don't think it's right. Conduct a full redesign of the service to eliminate all previous issues and ensure a clean, modernized process, or update the forms to make them simpler and more user friendly while keeping the workflow intact to avoid operational disruption. Answer D is making it nicer from the outside, but the same complexity from the inside. Now, answer, I think B and D, we agree they're out. Answer C, some people thought answer C is a good one. Do you really have time and capacity to do a full redesign? Okay, yeah, it's good to eliminate all previous issues, but wow, I mean, it's easier to streamline the workflow. We eliminate the redundant steps, clarify who needs to approve what, and make a pilot. Okay, but redesigning the whole thing, it takes a lot of time, a lot of time. Okay. Question 9. We still have two more questions, and then the slide with the gifts. I think a PMO is an energy company. Sorry, a PMO in an energy company deployed a cost forecasting service that has been widely adopted for multi-year capital projects, but remains underused for short operational initiatives. Okay? So this cost forecasting service has been underused. Operational teams argue that the tools add administrative overhead without improving outcomes, and senior stakeholders are beginning to question whether the service provides consistent value across the portfolio. So, what should the PMO leader do to ensure the service that delivers value effectively across all project types? Limit the service to capital projects where it performs best and avoid applying it to operational initiatives until operational maturity increases. Emphasize the accuracy and long-term financial benefits observed in capital projects, demonstrating strong value in the areas where adoption is already high. Maintain the current service design, but provide additional training to operational teams to improve consistency in application. Refine the service to include a lighter forecasting model for short duration projects and work with operational teams to validate its usefulness through targeted pilots. Okay? Now, I think there are a couple of answers which we know that are wrong. Limiting the service to only capital projects and maintain the current service, I think we know it's wrong. Emphasizing the accuracy and long-term financial benefits, demonstrating value, he did not really target the issue, did not solve the concern. Here, you will need to refine the service to include a lighter forecasting model because they think it's heavy. It's creating overhead without any like improved outcomes. Okay. So here it's better, to have lighter forecasting model for short duration projects and work with operational teams to validate its usefulness through targeted pilots. Yes, run some pilots, have feedback. That will get you the answer you need. You see, this is the type of questions that are almost hard. There are harder questions, by the way. This is almost hard. This is not the hardest. This is almost hard. And last question, this mini test. The PMO has successfully supported several strategic projects, but executive leadership remains unaware of the PMO's contribution. Wow. So they successfully supported several strategic projects, but executive leadership, they are doubting the PMO's contribution. Wow. Project sponsors praise their teams during reviews, but the PMO's role is rarely mentioned. I remember this. I used to be in that position 2 decades ago almost. Leadership is beginning to question whether the PMO delivers measurable value. Hmm. Very, 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 how do you call it? Traditional situation, usual situation, maybe. What should the PMO leader do to ensure the organization recognizes the PMO's contributions? Integrate outcome metrics and PMO contributions into existing project review mechanisms using data and sponsor endorsements to demonstrate impact without appearing self-promotional. I like that. Ask sponsors to formally acknowledge the PMO's involvement during executive reviews to ensure visibility at the leadership level. Create a PMO success dashboard and circulate it internally to highlight contributions to efficiency, budget performance, and delivery timelines. Okay. Increase PMO participation in high visibility initiatives and rely on improved performance to naturally elevate recognition over time. Yes, this is what we consider one of the toughest questions in this presentation. Okay, so how to demonstrate the PMO's contribution? Yeah, many people, I can see different answers here. The correct answer is the first one, but let's first go through the other ones. Ask a sponsor to formally acknowledge the PMO's involvement. Yes, you can do that, but is that really what we have learned during step 10, the value recognition? Did we really see that? Create a PMO success dashboard and circulate it internally to highlight contributions to efficiency, budget performance, and delivery timelines. Okay. Yeah, well, I don't know if that's really effective or not. Okay. Here we want to know if the PMO is delivering value or not. Increasing PMO participation in high visibility initiatives and rely on improved performance to naturally elevate the cognition. Now, so integrating outcome metrics. First of all, it's outcome, it's metrics. Okay. And PMO contributions into existing project review mechanisms. We saw that earlier in the step 10. Okay. Value recognition. Using data and sponsor endorsements. Yes. To demonstrate impact, but without appearing self-promotional. Here, circulating this internally is like self-promotions. Okay. Participating in high visibility initiatives, again, that's like pushing. But using outcome metrics, yes, outcome, like where the real impact happens, okay, to demonstrate impact. Because the question here is, PMO's impact is rarely seen. So that's the right answer. So this is like one of the confusing questions. That's why you really need to understand the course and the mindset of PMI, both.